Hello, everyone. Welcome to our July webinar. In today's webinar, I'm going to be going over how to set up products and manage artist purchases. This will be relatively at an introductory level, but even if you're used to ZAPP, I hope you gain some new insights or some tips that I have for you along the way. Let's start with how to set up your event to accept payments for your products. Before we get into the product editor, though, I want to start in the event information tab of the event editor. So I've got our event set up here, and I'm just going to click on event editor. And the event information tab, which is the first one, as you all know, it's where you need to list out all the information for your event and what artists need to know before applying. This includes info about fees, obviously. So one thing to pay attention to is, the general information section. This will appear on your event summary page. And this is where you'll want to list things like the jury fee cost. So you can state whether you have an early bird or late fee, whether there'd be a window for that of time when they need to purchase the jury fee by, and whether or not maybe you have discounts available for low-income folks, emerging artist program if you have that, coupons for past award winners. Any information about the jury fee I think is a good spot to put in the general information section. But then obviously we have the next a couple of sections down is the booth information. So this is where you can list the cost for booths, including deposits you have and any add-ons. So if you have canopies, electric, all those kinds of booth-related products, you can put into this booth information section. And when an artist is viewing the event summary, they can skip straight to that information. So just be transparent about anything the artist will need to pay for and include all that information here. I also want to direct your attention to the refund policy field. Now, this is a new field as of May this year. We used to have it kind of lumped in with a legal agreement, but we've put it as its own section. So any events going forward from May will have to include a refund policy. So make sure you're specific about what products are available for refunds, state whether or not you have an option for, full refunds at a certain time or partial refunds, or include language is like nothing is refundable. And that also applies to the jury fee. I think sometimes that's a contested payment for a number of reasons, but it's good to have a clear refund policy for the jury fee if that's refundable, or if it's not, which is I think in most cases, make sure you're stating that here. The refund policy field will be available on the event summary page when an artist is looking at it. It's a new section. And it's also available on the receipt. When an artist receives the receipt for their payments, they will see the refund policy right there in front of them. And then this is also used for the ZAPP staff to reference if an artist comes through with a chargeback or a dispute on the payment. We can easily come to your refund policy and see what you have here. So just make sure you include that. The legal agreement you can also use for things related to refunds if you wanted to double up on your efforts there. But if you want, you can use that, but you don't have to. Legal agreement can be more related to your event participation, related to the jury, maybe more procedural than it is about the refund policy. So that's what I want to touch on here for now about the event information section related to products and purchases. Let's now go to the product editor where we'll be setting up the products themselves. So I'll click on the product editor. So to set up products, you'll see we already have a few listed here. To set up any new products, you'll use this blank line down below. But let's first talk about, setting up your jury fee if your event is new and you don't have that set up. The jury fee is default. It will always be there for you. So you just need to fill out the fees or the fields, and even if you have a $0 jury fee, you need to include that anyway, because an artist will essentially purchase the jury fee when they submit their application, even if it's $0. So to set up your jury fee, you'll enter the cost here, obvious. And then to set up any early bird or late fee structures, click on this little check box here, check mark, and you'll be able to toggle on and off early bird and late fees. So if I have an early bird, let's say I turn this on, The start date, well, first of all, you'll enter the cost, and this will be the total cost an artist will pay during this window of time. So the start date will actually be the date of your accept applications date for your event, so the date that your event opens the applications. And then you'll set the end date for that early bird window. So you'll set the time period that an artist will have until to be applicable or to be eligible for the early bird fee. And then the late fee is similar. So you turn that on if you want to use it. You set up the cost, however much it will be. And the start date is what you'll set to determine when that late application fee starts. The end date will be your application deadline date, because that will be the last day that anyone can purchase can purchase the jury fee and submit their application. So these are just the fields you have to set up. Other than that, it's pretty easy. You can just go ahead and click save when you're done, and you'll see it'll then be listed on the product editor, the early bird and late fees. And you can go in and click that plus again to come in and make any changes. So since this feature has been rolled out, it's been pretty well used. It's kind of easier than using coupon codes, so we like it a lot, and it's a pretty useful feature. Moving on, the sold of quantity field. This is going to reference how many you've sold, and then excluding the jury fee, but for any other products, you can set up the maximum number of products you're able to sell for that specific product. So if you only have a set number of booths or a set number of add-ons, set the maximum that you have. Once that many number of artists purchases that product, it will become sold out, and the artist will see it on the checkout page, but they won't be able to purchase it, and it will say that it's sold out. But if you need to increase that number so that an artist can purchase that specific product, you can just come in here and increase that quantity. The description, pretty self-explanatory. Enter the description for whatever product you have. The accepted payments type, so the default will be all, but we accept payment by credit card and PayPal, and then check. Credit card and PayPal is processed through ZAPP and gets remitted to you on a monthly basis. Check payments made by artists are intended to be sent to you, the event, and the artist will make that out to you and send it to you. So you would manage all of that. If you don't want to deal with checks, you could just set this to credit card and PayPal so that folks only have that option to pay through ZAPP. The product type here, I'll go through a little bit more in detail in a minute, but the product type for jury fee is a default one because that's the first fee that anyone will pay to submit their application. And then the active column, this is a checkbox that determines whether the product is active in your shop, essentially. So when you have it checked, that means that any artist can go in, well, not any artist, we'll go over that in a second, but that artist can come in here and purchase the products that you have. But if you don't want them available for purchase, you just make sure that the box is unchecked. And then obviously you can delete most products unless someone has sold the at least one. If someone has purchased one of these products, you don't have the ability to delete it. Otherwise, if you haven't yet sold anything and you want to delete that product, you can just click the delete button. At any time, if you're making changes to the fees and the products, you would just come, make those updates, but be sure to click Save Products, and that would save those. So it doesn't really update in real time. So you would want to make sure you click Save Products. So let's talk about, setting up a new fee. I'll just go through one of these. Let's say we're going to sell a corner booth. So I'll just enter my new product cost. I'll see how many I have of them. Let's say I only got 40. My description, I'll put that in there. And I'll go over this part in a second. And then accepted payments, let's say all. And then here's where I'm going to go over the product types. So we have different product types. Hopefully you can see all of them here. There we go. So we have different product types that you can use. The admin product type can be purchased by artists at the same time they purchase their jury fee. And this is used for things like pre-application products such as membership dues. So if an artist need to purchase membership, you can set up an admin fee and make this the membership fee, and they can purchase that at the same time. And then we've got booth, canopy, deposit, electric, other, and tent. So all of these can be used however you need them to be used to sell those. And if it's a booth, you might have different types of booth that you'll specify in the description. Other than that, you can use these other ones and just explain what they mean. And we'll also talk about a little bit of the rules related to deposits a little bit later. But one thing you need to know is that the booth fee, canopy, deposit, electric, other tent, all of those things, those are post-jury fees. So these are things that artists will purchase after they're juried into the event. So that's important to know because only artists that are in the invited status or in the accepted status, in the confirmed status, or in the exempt from jury status will actually be able to pay for these products. So when you're setting up all these products, you don't have to worry about the fact that artists that are simply just applying will be able to purchase booths ahead of time. That's not the case. They'll only be able to purchase booths when they get invited to the event. So you can go ahead and set up all your products first and not really worry about that. So that applies to these products types here. So when you're setting up a new product, go ahead and just click the product type and then click add, and that will add and save it to your list down below, or actually at the top here. If you want, you can actually change the order of the products as they appear. So the order that they're here will actually be the order that the artist sees it in. So if you want to make sure, you know, that your deposit is first, or that you're listing them based on, you know, booth types, or if you want to list it from least expensive to most expensive, you can just click on this arrow here and you'll drag the product to its spot in line. Sometimes it's a little bit finicky to get. Let's do it the other way. There we go. You just do that, but then you have to make sure you click save products, and that will save the order of the products. So changing the order might not be necessary, but it's kind of neat to know that you can do that, because if you do want to make sure, you know, it looks organized. Some folks have lots of different products on their checkout page. So if you want to make sure you're organized with that, you can change the order. This override purchase deadline. So when an artist purchases their booths, what you'll do is you'll have to set, and I'll show this later on, you'll have to set a date by which everyone needs to purchase their booths by. And after that deadline, artists won't be able to purchase booths anymore. But if you had a one-off case where an artist did need to go in and purchase something else and you allowed that, you can click on override purchase deadline, click save, and that means that artists can actually go in there and purchase it even though the deadline's in the past. I recommend once that one-off case gets resolved, you turn that off just so artists don't go back in there and purchase anything late. To set up a coupon, if you ever need to, you'll go to events and coupons. And again, here you have, you know, one line per coupon, and you'll just set up a new one in the blank fields. So you can set up a coupon for anything. It could be for a number of artists. It could be for just one artist if you're giving them some sort of waiver. And it could be any other, you know, discounts. So for filling out a new one, I'll just go through each field. The coupon name will just be referenced for you to understand what the coupon's for, but this is not the actual code. So let's say I did have, you know, a discount for emerging artists. Then you'll set the discount. You can either set this to a percentage amount or a dollar amount. So let's say, you know, a 15% discount. Maximum uses. So this will be however many coupons are available to use. If there is a set amount, or if you're only giving it to one person, make sure you set this to either, you know, one for one person, or if you have like a max on 25 emerging artists being able to redeem the coupon, then you set that. If you don't have a limit, actually just set this to 0. That's what this means up here. It's a little counterintuitive, but it's just saying that there is no limit. So let's actually set that to, you know, 25. And then the code is the code itself that the artist will have to enter on the checkout page in order to use the coupon. So let's just say it's something like that, but I recommend making it unique but easy to remember. Then you'll set any start and end dates if you want to only have a window of time where the coupon is available. So you can set that up there. Active or disabled, you can set this so that the coupon can be used, or if you're done with the coupon and you want to make sure no one else is using it, you can just switch it off by clicking disabled. Then you'll make sure you're selecting which product that the coupon applies to. So if this is just for the jury fee, you would select that. If you're discounting the early bird or late jury fee, or if any of the booth products. So all of the products that you've set up in your product editor will appear here, and you'll just select which ones that apply to. And then once you're done, you just click add, and it gets added to your list, and you can add as many as you need. If you ever need to make any changes, just make sure you're making the changes and you click update to save those changes. And you can obviously delete them as well. So that's a little bit how to set up coupons. All I recommend is that you make sure those dates are correct. If someone's having a trouble using the coupon, this is one of the first things to check to see if it's within the date range. And you can always make changes to that if someone's having an issue and maybe they're late or something like that. All right, so that's about how to set up products and coupons. Just so you know, I will be showing you what this all looks like from the artist side, just to give you an inside peek at that. But before we do, I'm going to show you how to set up your event to receive booth payments. So for booth payments, there's a little bit more to it than just setting up the products. But that's because ZAPP has a built-in workflow to allow certain artists, like I've already touched on, certain artists to purchase booths. And those are the artists that are invited to the show. So there are some settings you need to pay attention to when you're ready to start letting artists purchase their booths. So the first thing will be in the jury administration page. What you'll need to do is make sure that your jury status is set to complete. So, your jury status will be not yet started as you're accepting applications and your event is just getting going. When you're jurying, and this is involved with the jury process, you'll set it to in progress. This will mean that no one can submit more applications. The artist status is hidden from them, and it starts to, have the jury process. But when you're done with the jury, you do need to make sure you come here and set your jury status to complete, because that will make it so that the system knows you're ready to start selling those booth products. The other setting you need to do with this in tandem is hide the current status needs to be set to no. It should only be set to yes during the jury. That means it's hiding the status from the jury, essentially putting up a curtain in front of artists so that they can't see what's happening in that jury process until you actually publish the results of the jury. So when you're done with the jury, make sure you set this back to no so that artists can actually see their status. And of course, just save jury settings whenever you are updating that. Then the next thing you need to do after the jury process is go to the event editor again. And I'll go to event editor. This is actually back in the event information page. You'll just want to double check your accept invitation and purchase deadline date. So this is that date I mentioned that artists will have until to pay for any of their booth products. So you want to set that date up to a date in the future. This is something that's kind of overlooked sometimes. It can be a kind of a common mistake when organizers are ready to start selling their booth products. Sometimes artists can't go in and do that, and that's because this date is not set correctly. Maybe it's in the past or was overlooked from the beginning. So just make sure you've set that. And then the final thing you want to do before that period starts is just double check the status of the artists. So like I said, only artists that are in the invited status, accepted status, confirmed status, or exempt from jury status will be able to purchase any booth products. With the workflow, how it works is that you have your artists in the invited status. And so when artists are invited, they'll then be able to log into their account, accept or reject the invitation, at which point they'll be moved to accepted if they accept. Once they're in the accepted status, they'll be able to go to the checkout page and purchase their booth fee. And then once they purchase their booth fee, they'll be automatically changed to the confirmed status. So you'll know that anyone that's in the confirmed status has paid their booth fee. Obviously, anyone that does not accept the invitation will go to the declined status, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well later. So that's one thing you need to do is just make sure that artists are in the invited status. Now, let's say you do have some folks that are exempt from the jury and they're going to participate in the event no matter what. So they do need to purchase their booths. Now, let's say that those folks need to purchase their booths before anyone else. They're given a special status to be able to purchase whatever booth they need to purchase before the main group. The best way to handle this is to actually have them pay for their booth fees before the jury starts. That is because when the jury is in progress, no one can purchase products. So that means exempt folks can't purchase their products. But when the jury is over and it's completed, invited artists will also be able to purchase. So in order to prevent that from happening, what you'll need to do is have the exempt from jury folks pay for the booth products before the jury starts, or before you at least change everyone's status from received to invited. So another option is after the jury, making sure your jury is complete, but folks that are, those regular juried folks stay in the received status. Okay, so those are the things you need to do in order to set up your event to accept booth payments. You've got to set up the products, you've got to set your jury status to complete and do that other setting as well. You've got to make your accept invitation and purchase deadline date correct. And you've got to make sure all the artists that are ready to be purchasing products are in the invited status. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like from the artist side. So I'm going to flip over and log in with my artist account. Now when an artist, there we go, got to do it again. When an artist gets into their account and they have been invited to the event, when they go to the applications page that lists all the applications they've applied to and all the events, they will be taken to this page and they'll see this accept or reject invitation. So they will go ahead and click accept or reject. They taken to this page that shows them that deadline. This is that accept invitation and purchase deadline date. And then they can click accept or reject. I click accept here. My status is now accepted, like I had mentioned. Then they can go ahead and click purchases. So now that's available for them, and this takes them straight to the checkout page. They'll see all the products that you've listed, that you've created. You'll see that this particular artist account of mine, I've already actually purchased the deposit, but they can actually go back and add any other products. So they just have to go through these steps. So they say, okay, I'm going to do a corner booth and electric. They just check mark which ones they're paying for, and they'll see the running total on the right side. They can do this for one event at a time, or if they have multiple events ready to be purchased at the same time, they can do it at the same time. It'll just list all the events in this section here. Once they've added those items to their cart, they will click next step. And they're at the quantities page. Whoops, don't want to close it. And then they can choose if they're purchasing multiple quantities of any of these products. And they just update that there. If they don't need more than one, they can just go ahead and click next step. Then they're taken to the coupon stage. So if they have coupons, they'll enter it in the box here and click apply. That will update the total. And then the next step is to select the payment method. So they'll click whichever payment method they want for each of these. When they click that, they'll be given this option, the button to go ahead and click PayPal or credit card, where they're taken to an place where they can insert their information. If they want to come back up here to payment information, they can then also switch it to check. And a check payment looks like this. They just click check, and then they're given the field for a check number, any notes they want to include. And when they click submit check payment, they'll be given the mailing address to send it to, which is your mailing address. So once they've submitted that, let's go ahead and purchase these. I'll just do a check, which doesn't matter on the demo side. So I'll click submit check. Once they've paid, whether by credit card or PayPal, they'll be given, or a check, they'll be given this receipt. And it looks like this, and it has the total, everything that they paid for. If they paid for multiple events, it will all be in this one receipt. And then it'll have the address to send the check to. They can always print the receipt, but this receipt also gets emailed to them, and the receipt is also available back in the applications page. They have all their products purchased here, and they can click on this to view the receipt. So that's a little bit about what it looks like as an artist to purchase fees and how those products appear. So just giving you some insight look. Let's head back to the admin side. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how to collect deposits. The deposit collection feature was designed to keep artists who have purchased booths separate from artists who have just purchased a deposit. So there's a way you can do this to kind of have a deposit phase and then, your booth purchase phase. So to do this, let's go to the event editor and we'll go to the product editor. Now you can see I already have a deposit product set up, so that's good. That's the first step, is to set up your deposit product. And I'm going to make sure that this is remained active, but what I'm going to do is, because I'm just collecting deposits in this phase, I'm going to deactivate all of the rest of the products. So only folks can go in there and purchase deposits at this stage. So I would do that. And then I would set up in the event information tab, I would set up an initial accept invitation and purchase deadline. So this might be sooner. This might be an earlier date, saying, okay, you have until this date to purchase your deposit. So I set that up and I click save. Then what I'll do is, even though I'm not in there anymore, I'll go, as an artist, you can tell them, okay, you can go in and purchase your deposits. And I'll come to the cart and you'll see that because I've already purchased the deposit, it's not going to show up here, but basically it will list the deposit for everyone and they can go in and purchase their deposit. Then in the events management section, let's say that that initial deadline date had passed. Everyone that was going to purchase the deposit has purchased the deposit. Anyone that has not purchased their deposit, you can move from the invited status, because that's where they'll remain until they accept and then purchase their deposit. You can move everyone back into the decline status. If they haven't purchased their deposit, you're saying, okay, they're not coming, so we're going to put them in declined by ourselves. Then you're ready to start the next phase. So that everyone remaining in either, they would actually at this stage, once they purchase their deposit, would be in the confirmed status. So everyone left in confirmed can then purchase their booth, and you would just go back to the event editor, set up a new deadline for that actual booth purchases, click save. Then go to the product editor and disable the deposit and activate everything else. So it's kind of a manual way of just setting up two phases, a deposit phase and a booth purchase phase. And then everyone else can purchase their booths by that date. The other thing to know is that when folks purchase a deposit, they are given, this is actually going to be in this status here, they will be shown with a deposit tag. So this is kind of a new thing, where new as in like maybe 9 months ago, they will add a deposit. If they purchase a deposit, they will automatically be tagged with the deposit tag. And this just makes it easy for you to clearly see that they purchased the deposit. You can also sort by the deposit tag by clicking on filter applicants by tags, choosing the deposit tag. I'll clear this status filter and I can search for it. And anyone that's purchased the deposit will be listed here. However, you can also do this by filtering not by tags, but by purchase products. And if I say purchase products and I have booth deposit here, it will give me the same results. So just a couple ways to do it. So that's a little bit about deposits. Next, I'm going to talk about how to view and manage artist purchases. There are a couple different ways to view artist purchases. The first is right here on the event management page. So you can, click on any status to view the full list of artists, or you can click here to view all. And you'll see there's a payments column on this side. If you don't see the payments column, go ahead and click table editor and make sure that this payments column is checked off. This is how you determine, what you're looking at on this table. You can determine what fields you see. So make sure payments is selected. Save that. And then payments here will basically just show you what they've purchased and the date. So for some, they might have multiple products here. If they've paid by a check, it'll be set to a check status of pending until you've received it. And you can go ahead and click this to received, kind of keep track of checks that way. But this is where you'll view those payments. You can also view payments in the application page by clicking on the ID number of the artist. This takes you to that application form, the artist. And at the bottom, you can see we have the payment section. So this will list out all the payments that an artist made and kind of just give you a better look at, everything. And if you click on the payment ID number, it'll take you to the artist history that kind of just shows you those payments a little bit more and any emails they might have received. And then also on the applications page, if you go to the email section, you'll see you actually get a copy of the receipt that the artist had. It's showing up in a different tab here. Let me show you this way. It'll show you the same receipt that was sent to the artist. So you can have clear view of, here's your receipt. If an artist wants a copy of their receipt and they didn't receive it or they lost it or something, you can go ahead and get it for them. And then the other way, well, before I actually move on, I'm going to show you a little bit more about that search feature. You can also search for payments if you are wanting to look at, how many folks purchased a corner booth, for example. You can click on purchased, filter applicants by purchase products, and then choose corner booth. Get rid of all corner booth search. See who's purchased a corner booth, for example. You can also add multiple filters at once. So anyone that purchased a corner booth that is a, what category we are, sculpture category. And so, any sculptures or sculptors that purchase corner booth, you can search for that. So you can use this search applications to kind of find payments that way. And same thing with tags. So you can always, tag folks however you want them. You can have up to 3 tags in addition to the deposit tag. So if there's something special about their case, or if you want to just draw attention to a specific artist, you can, create a tag and do that. Or you can remove the tag, but you can always then come in here and filter applicants by certain tags that you've created for them. Actually, I didn't save this first. That's why it's not here. Save, and then we'll do tags, select tag demo, and it just appears there. So some neat things you can do there. Now, the other way to look at payments is to run an income breakdown report. So you'll go to reports, income breakdown. This, if you don't already know, just gives you a report of all the products that are purchased for your event or multiple events at once, and you can see them all in one report. It also gives you a little bit more of the payment information. So you'll set your date range first. Let's just say month to day, and you can include or exclude selected filters. The filters are the ones down below here. So if you want to make sure you're excluding check payments, for example, you'll exclude filters, click checks. That means you're only going to look at the credit card or PayPal payments. Then you can also, filter anything else. And then you'll select the event. For this specific demo organization, I only have one listed event, but if you might have more if you've run events in the past. You can choose to download the report into a report, so it doesn't even show you what the report looks like on the page. You can just choose to have it automatically download as a spreadsheet, but you can choose however you want to view it. When you click run report, it will show you the report here. Obviously, this one's going to be very small because I've only had this one demo artist in here. But if you have multiple, it's going to show you a whole list of the report of all the transaction. And as you can see, it has a little bit more of that transaction information. So you can click download results as well to download the spreadsheet. The report is nice because you can download things for bookkeeping needs. You can, if you run the report to the month prior, so let's say June 1st to June 30th, that will give you, and you click download results, although this is not going to give me anything. Oops, run report, I mean. It's not going to give me anything, but that report for the month prior will give you an indication of how much you should expect in your next remittance check. So it's really good to be able to compare. So that's a little bit about income breakdown report. I'm going to touch on this a little bit in our next and final topic, which is refunds. If you ever need to refund an artist for a purchase, we have a way that you can request refunds. But the first thing you need to do is run a report, an income breakdown report, to determine if we, ZAPP, have enough funds in your account to refund the artist on your behalf. So as you know, we collect your money throughout the month and we remit them to you every month. But if we've remitted it to you lately, that means we don't have any funds in the account to be able to process that refund for the artist. So the first thing you'll need to do is come here and set a report for the month to date. July, there you go. Make sure you exclude checks as well, because we don't have any process in the check payments. The check payment's not going to count towards any funds we have available for you to refund. So we'll do that and we'll click run report. Obviously it shows me the same amount, but this will show you here under collected. That's going to be the net amount less the credit card fees. So any net amount we have in your account. So if you see that this number is larger than the number of, or than the amount you need to be refunding the artist, then great, you can request a refund. If this number is not enough, you can either wait until more artists have purchased products so that you can, have enough funds, or you can just refund that artist directly and not even through us. You can, send them a check on your own. So if you do have enough to cover it, you will request a refund by going to the Help Center. So click on Help. And you'll go to Refund Request towards the bottom. Click Refund Request. And you will be taken to the page, and you can either click or scroll down to the refund form, and you'll submit this form. So you'll enter some basic information about your event, and you can let us know if you need 1 refund, if you need up to 5 refunds, or if you have more than 5 refunds. If you have more than 5 refunds, still fill out this form, but we'll actually be reaching out to you on a separate way to start a bulk refund process. It's a little bit easier for us to combine multiple refunds into one processing workflow than it is to just do one. So we can help you with any of the options. But if you're just requesting 1 refund, you'll fill out the artist information, so the artist name, product name, how many of the products that is refunding they need to be refunded, the amount they need a refund for, how they paid, and the transaction ID. So the transaction ID, you can find the transaction ID in the income breakdown report, except I don't actually have that information for you because this was a $0 purchase in my demo artist account. We don't have a real credit card transaction here, but if I did, it would show you the transaction ID for the credit card. Just know that it's not this payment ID for ZAPP. That's an internal thing. It's a credit card transaction ID. So once you do that, you will just enter the transaction ID and select the reason and submit the form. Once you submit the form, the ZAPP team will be in touch with any questions or concerns, or they'll just give you an update to the status of the refund if we are able to process that for the artist. When you do have refunds, that will be reflected in the income breakdown report. If you ever need to see, however many refunds you've had, you can click Include Selected Filters and make sure you're just including refunds, or you could, exclude everything but refunds. So that will show you refunds, and it'll just kind of show up. I can't remember if it's in red or not, but it'll show you, in parentheses, the amount that was taken off for the refund. I have a question in the chat. Can you choose a different product type or make your own product type? We offer complimentary lunch on day 1, but ask for payment. Sure. So in that case, you would use the product type that is, let's go down here, the other. So it would just be other. And then you would say in your description what that product would be and describe it so that artists know. So the other product type can be used for anything really. So that's how you collect refunds. That's how you set up products. That's how you manage purchases. And that concludes the main content of our webinar. I hope you were able to follow along well and learn something new, even if you're used to ZAPP. If you have any questions specific to your event, status of a refund, or anything specific to you, please contact the team at ZAPPhelp@weststaff.org. Thanks again for joining us. We look forward to having you at our next webinar.